Welcome to the Stella Smartworks Big Shopping Weekend. My name's Caroline, I'm the editor of Stella, and on behalf of everyone on the magazine at the Telegraph, Kate Stevens, who's the CEO of Smartworks, and her team, a really warm welcome. We're just really excited to see you. We're just excited to see people. This is our first event in 2 years, and in fact the last time we held an event was here with Smartworks, so it only seems right that we are reunited for such a fabulous cause. Today wouldn't have happened without the help of so many people, so a massive thank you to the team at Somerset House, to our sponsors, Malfi Gin, Lele, pronounced that properly, haven't I? Drake and Morgan, and of course all the brands that you saw upstairs. At Stella, we are really proud of our friendship with Smartworks. They change lives overnight, and of course it's not instant, definitely not for them, because behind the scenes they are working so hard. And to date they've helped 20,000 women back into employment, which is amazing. And they do that by harnessing fashion and vital coaching that gives women the confidence to go and get the job that they want. It's a winning formula. More than 2/3 of women get the job within a month of their first meeting with the charity, which is incredible. And every single penny spent here today goes back to them to help them support women. So basically what we're saying is this is guilt-free shopping at its absolute best. And so feel good. And finally, I just want to say thank you to you for coming, for supporting us. These events are only as good as the people who attend them, and we just so appreciate it, so thank you. I'm going to stop talking because this is the reason why you're here. I'm going to do a quick introduction. This is the Telegraph's beauty director, Sonia. She's amazing. She's very modest, but she did spend a lot of lockdown lobbying the government to reopen the beauty world when they were closed. And gosh, we really did miss the beauty world. So welcome, Sonia. And also Hannah Martin, makeup artist extraordinaire and a friend of the magazine. And they are going to talk you through tips and tricks, and we really want you involved. There is no question too silly. I'll probably be asking them too. So put your hands up at various points, hold the mic, I'm told here, and that should help them hear you. But thank you so much.
Exciting. Welcome, Hannah. I'm so excited to have you here. So we're going to do a day-to-night masterclass. We're going to take, so Hannah's got no makeup on at the moment, and we're going to do a journey, aren't we?
We are. Quick and easy, everyday makeup, and then how you can really easily jazz it up for evening. I have to say though, before we start, I'm wearing a new vêtement that I bought this morning. I did that really silly thing where I got the notification about the sale, booked tickets for me and a school mum friend, and then was like, but we've got to go first thing because I'm doing this thing with the Telegraph at some point that day, not putting the dots together that it was actually here. So I've already done my shopping. I needed some staples and I bought this and some sparkly Jimmy Choos. So I hope you've all had a brilliant time shopping. And if you haven't yet, get upstairs because it's amazing.
Yeah. And so and I've bought some Chloe boots, but I'll show you them at the end.
Good.
They are so good.
So good.
So shall we start with base? Because like mastering the perfect base is something we get asked a lot at the magazine, kind of lots of reader questions around kind of, dark circles, pigmentation, coverage, just in general. Like what's your kind of go-to base day to day?
So before we get into base, I will do a tiny little bit of skincare because actually skincare is so key. And I'm asked questions all the time from people saying, well, my foundation's just not performing as I want it to, and I feel my skin looks dehydrated. I'm really concerned about fine lines. And actually, I always have to circle back to what the prep is beforehand. So I'm going to use 2 bits from Clarins, which I love, and that's the double serum face and eye, because not only is there excellent skin food inside, it's also full of moisturisers. So it's a really brilliant way of starting to kind of not only look after your skin, but prep your skin and start loading that surface layer of skin with a little bit of healthy water and oil. And actually all of our skin needs a bit of oil, so oil isn't the enemy actually, and a bit of oil not only helps protect the skin, it means that whatever foundation products you put on top, they just sit so much more smoothly onto that skin.
And do you think that we kind of need to be using an eye cream under?
Yes.
As part of,
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favourite bits. I could just have a little moment to myself while I apply my eye cream. Quick note, I'm only doing my under eye at this point because I will be doing makeup. I love to massage the whole orbital bone in the evening, but I find if you do use creams that are really emollient, actually some of that hydration will travel down your lid and that will cause your eyeshadow to crease. So just omit that from your kind of morning routine. But yes, essential if you're going to be wearing a concealer, because concealers, they contain pigments. And as soon as you put anything, absolutely anything with a pigment on your skin, it could potentially exacerbate the appearance of fine lines. And unfortunately, we all have fine lines around our eyes because the skin is so much thinner and because our eyes move. So there's constant strain on that delicate skin. But a moisturising concealer and eye cream, and you'll be in a pretty decent place, ready for makeup. I will use now a little bit of the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. Bobbi Brown are here, whoop whoop. Not Bobbi Brown herself. She doesn't work with the brand anymore, just in case I misled anyone. But brilliant artists from the brand are here upstairs, and they do have this beautiful makeup bag, which has been designed by Needle and Thread, as you can so tell. And this bag does contain a vitamin enriched face base. All the proceeds from the sale of these bags goes back to Smartworks, just FYI. And this is a makeup primer, but it's also totally not a makeup primer. So it calls itself a base, but it's known as a primer because it really does beautifully prep skin for makeup. It's quite hard to describe, but if I just pop it on my fingers, if a moisturiser can ever be velvety, it's a velvety moisturiser. So what I mean by that is it's not really wet, which means that it's not going to cause makeup to slide. It's brilliant for all skin types, so excellent for those with a slightly oilier skin.
So would that be your sort of primer step?
It would be my primer step. Yeah, and I'd much rather I advise people to use this kind of priming step rather than, a classic primer, because actually so many primers have such high silica content that actually I find that it creates a barrier between your skin and your makeup. And I much prefer the look when your kind of makeup becomes your skin and melts into it.
Amazing.
So there we go. So that's the prepping step. Shall we do some base?
Let's do some base now. What is this?
So I've bought the It Cosmetics CC Cream with me because again, just thinking back to the things that I'm asked the most, like how do I protect my skin? How do I cancel redness in the skin? That's a huge request. How do I keep my skin looking hydrated but with a bit of coverage? And It Cosmetics CC Cream does that brilliantly. So it's SPF 50, so you've got brilliant sun protection factor. There is good coverage. Now I'm just going to do what I would do in the morning. Before I go on the school one, I'm just going to use my fingers.
The shade range is amazing and this
completely inclusive, so there's something for everyone. Let me just draw. I wonder how that looks on the screen.
Ooh. So are you much better with your fingers?
Yeah, I really love base makeup application with fingers. Call me old school, but I find that the warmth of your fingers helps to melt the product into the skin. And you'll see, I've got 2 pumps, so it's quite a lot for now, and I'll potentially set it down in a sec, but I'm just using the warmth of my fingers to blend that into the skin, and you'll see, do I look a bit ghostly? You'll see how it's doing a good job.
Makes your skin look so glowy.
Toning down the redness. Right.
Can I ask a quick question?
Always.
What shade should you go for? Because you've gone, and how do you know which one?
Yeah, so before you guys arrived, I brought with me light and medium because my skin tone changes quite a lot throughout the year. And I tested, I'm using my really professional loo roll to wipe my fingers. And I just tested right across the centre of my cheek.
And that's how you...
That's how you test. You can't test on your wrist or on your neck or on your chest even. You just won't get a true tone finish. So cut it right through the centre of your face.
Is it a shade darker? A little bit than your natural skin?
No, It should be about right. You've always got to take into consideration the rest of the colour through your body, especially if you're wearing something like my friend bought a Victoria Beckham gown earlier. If you're wearing something that shows your arms, you need to ensure that there's a bit of tone. So actually, I haven't tried to go warmer, but it might look marginally warmer at this point.
Should you always kind of wait a moment while you're, like, for that kind of coverage just to kind of settle into the skin?
Yeah, I do think it can take a moment. What's cool is in a sec, and if you need to, you can always use a stippling brush if you want to just take off any excess product and just kind of work it into the skin further. But we come to concealer now. So if there's any area of high colour that's still present, or if there's anything, an imperfection you're not thrilled with, that's when you can use your concealer to fix that.
Amazing.
So another thing I'm asked about constantly is, how do I do under eye concealer that's flattering? And the first thing I'll say is, I think some people get really fixated about concealer gathering under the eye. And actually, I'll be so bold as to say I don't think there is a concealer that doesn't gather completely, unfortunately, but that's because there's no formula that can withstand the constant moving and constant creasing of the skin around the eyes. You can fix it really easy with just a quick dab. Be wary though, excuse me, that the higher the coverage, usually the drier the formula.
Right.
So just bear that in mind, because, one sec, whilst full coverage is great if you're concerned about dark colour under the eye, it's really unflattering, so just be careful. So I'm using the Shiseido Synchro Skin, which is particularly hydrating.
And with under eye in particular, should you be going for a tone slightly brighter than the rest of your face?
I would say. It doesn't have to be significantly brighter. I think the days of the know, the Kim Kardashian, love her and her, you know, she's a beauty icon, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it. I just heard that. I heard it. No, but I love Marietta Ivanovic, who kind of created her signature look, and we will look back at him throughout history and be like, yeah, he was an icon and he created a particular style.
Totally.
Anyway, IRL, in real life, it can look quite bright. So I think just a tone lighter than your skin is perfect.
Yeah.
Now, I focused it in the inner corner of the eye because that's where most of us carry darkness. But then here in the outer corner, I'm simply dragging the product out. So tapping in and then dragging out. Now, this tapping, I swear by.
Yeah.
But it's not this, okay? It's not that, it's not that.
Hannah taught me how to tap in lockdown over and it honestly makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, and it's the flat pad of your finger rather than your fingertip. If you secrete a lot of oil from your fingers or your hands, then a fluffy brush, you know, a fluffy headed brush, you can gently sweep. But again, when it comes to makeup on myself, but also on my clients, I like to use my fingers so I can work the product into the skin, so it's not sitting on the surface.
So I suppose if you're wiping, just wiping it off, aren't you?
Yeah.
Unfortunately so. Okie doke.
And that kind of, does that give it longevity? Does that mean that you kind of,
Exactly. We're making a bulletproof base. How's that going? Of course, I'm choosing now to get a real tickle in my throat. Classic.
So if anyone's got any questions, also keep throwing them out.
So at this point, the base is neutralised, okay? The under eyes are brighter, but it's completely flat. So we need to put some colour back in. Before I do that, I'm going to use...
This is such a good product.
Yes. By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder. A bit of a mouthful, but it contains hyaluronic acid. Where else do we hear hyaluronic acid? Moisturiser. Yeah. So it's a moist... Yeah. So it contains moisturiser. So it's really finely milled. That'll make me cough further.
Is that a fairly new product then? Like, I've never seen anyone...
Have you not? I think they're coming more and more prevalent, but Terry de Gunsberg, the founder of By Terry, would be delighted if I shared that she was the first to recognise...
What does it do? Take a bit of shine off then?
Yeah, so you should see that by adding the powder. Again, I'm tapping, not sweeping. If you sweep, I've got quite a downy face, so if I sweep, the pigment just gets stuck in the hairs. So if you pleasant, I'll be checking my moustache shortly. So I find a dabbing process far more effective. But this really is a champion of powders for anyone who doesn't like powder.
I mean, that's taken away the shine without your
That hasn't
face
killed
looking
it.
flat. No.
Hasn't killed it, no. And it will keep makeup in place all day. So again, I think some people are confused currently about the powders versus setting sprays and kind of primer versus powder versus setting spray. So confusion that if I wear a primer, that's going to lock my makeup in place all day. Actually, sadly, it's not going to. I'm going to use a setting spray. That will keep my makeup in place all day. Actually, sadly, it's not going to. You need to essentially dry the wet base product you've used with a powder product for it to not budge, unfortunately. You can then use setting spray on top, but you have to do it in combo. So if anyone here is scared of powder, Hyaluronic Hydra powder. Okay, comes in it comes in a multitude of tones. I'm just using the clear one, so it's not adding anything to my skin tone. So next we come to bronzer, my all-time fave.
Love a bronzer.
I feel like me when I've got my bronzer on. Now I'm not necessarily going to use it to contour, although absolutely it does contour, but I'm using it much more in the kind of classic bronzing sphere. So let me show you. I've got a very deep forehead. Lucky me. Someone said, oh, space for more brains. That's definitely not true. I paint faces for a living. But because I've got a deep forehead, I can afford to shade it so that this expanse looks less prevalent, like at the forefront. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when people talk about highlighting, you see people kind of highlighting through the forehead. That's great if you've got a narrow forehead. But I don't need to highlight this. It's already there. But if you watch the magic power
So good.
of just shading through the top section and into the hairline, it's just significantly less offensive.
So that gives the
you know what I mean?
illusion of a smaller forehead.
It just, yeah.
Amazing.
Because anything you shade, you essentially make it recede. So I also feel like, look, I'm really lucky I have a flat face. So I need to put bronzer on the side of my face to create the illusion of cheekbones and angles, because I don't naturally have it. But that step alone, do you see? And because we're doing kind of easy day makeup first, are you timekeeping? Because I have got no idea.
It's all good, we're fine.
Okay.
How do you find your perfect bronzer shade?
So look at the undertone of your skin, and don't panic about undertone, it's really easy. If you see redness in your skin, then you're a warmer, reddish undertone. So my bronzer, also MyBeautyBrand, which are upstairs, has a bit more of a cinnamon reddish tone through it. Right. If you look at your skin and you've got really beautiful kind of golden freckles, then you've got more of a golden undertone. So you need a bronzer that's more goldy yellow in shade, because if you try and put a red one on a golden skin tone, it's going to look very strange. If you look at your skin and you genuinely don't see any red and you don't see any yellow, then you're more neutral. So stick to a slightly flat pinky bronzer.
Right.
Did you have a question, babe?
Yes, please. Do you use highlighter or bronzer first?
Bronzer. Yeah. So add your depth and then bring to the forefront the bits you want to highlight. Quick cheek makeup.
Oh, I love this.
So just take your bronzer through the crease of the eye for really speedy day makeup. And because, if you've got the right bronzer for your skin tone, it'll work through the crease of the eye as well.
So you're just sweeping it into the socket?
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you wish, you can take a little bit underneath the eye. I much prefer kind of soft matte neutrals like bronzer under the eye than eyeliner as such.
That looks like an expert smoky eye in about 10 seconds.
Just
That's
so
amazing.
soft and quick. And then, I don't know if I'm allowed to use the bits in the bag.
I think we can. I think
Can we?
Yeah.
Okay. In which case, quick curl of the lashes. Because
What would you like to use in here?
that's
Mascara.
smoky eye mascara, yeah.
That's such a good mascara. That's your favourite, isn't it, Caroline?
I bought it yesterday.
Oh, it's so good. So quick curl of the lashes. Again, because for a quick day look, I'm not going to do an eyeliner.
No.
But if you have straight lashes and apply mascara, you're just going to add volume to straight lashes. You might get a hint of a lift if you're lucky. It depends on the texture of your lashes. A lot of people's lashes are slightly firmer or slightly more brittle.
Yeah.
So it's always worth spending 2 seconds just curling, and tweeze them until I die when it comes to eyelash curlers. They're so good. Just get them right to the root of the lashes, and then you can add something like Bobbi Brown's Smoky Eye Mascara, which is made from a really soft cajal paste, which means that it's a really layerable, buildable mascara. You know that thing when you do mascara and actually they're really crunchy?
Yeah.
And there's no way you're going to get your mascara wand through that at any other point. Because this is so much softer, you absolutely can. So you could do like this, a very quick day application, but then simply go back to your makeup bag. Look at you. Slightly. Were his words. I'll look at you, but only slightly. So you can do a proper decent touch-up.
And you're holding the brush vertical for the bottom lashes?
Always for the bottom lashes, only because I think you kind of tease with the tip of the wand.
Yeah.
And therefore less prone to making mistakes than if you were to kind of... There's way more room for error with the wand
and there's nothing like getting mascara.
There we go.
Yeah.
So annoying, isn't it? Right. Yes.
When you're putting the mascara on, you're turning the brush while you're doing it?
Ever so slightly, yeah. And what
does that do?
What does it do? Let me what does it do? Oh yeah, it's literally, okay, first of all, it helps you get the lashes between the bristles, and then as you turn, it almost keeps them within the bristles, but also you're moving your lashes through the wand, so you're picking up more product, rather than just using one area and just using that little bit of product. Eyebrows. I normally do my eyebrows before my eyes. What was I thinking?
Eyebrows,
I was excited.
Big
thing.
A big thing.
Big
we
thing.
need to have good brows, right?
However,
yes.
Quick and easy brows, something like Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Brows.
Oh, yes. Is that a brush?
Exquisite.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's tiny. So what can be challenging when it comes to kind of brow gels when you get a really big cumbersome brush, because it can be very hard to get control. Where because Charlotte so cleverly made this with such a tiny brush, you have so much more control over how you... Hello, eyebrows.
Amazing.
Sorry.
It makes such a difference. It kind of frames your whole eye, doesn't it?
And I think the fact that it's straight really helps as well, because...
Does that come in different shades?
Loads of different shades, yeah.
Should you be going with your hair colour?
You need...
What's your guide?
Yeah, so when it comes to choosing your brow shade, I always say, take a look in the mirror, step back, and compare your hair colour and your natural brow colour, and try and find a colour that's somewhere in between. Now, I am a natural blonde, I've got very old balayage. So actually my roots are quite dirty, they're quite dark. So I can afford to use a colour that's a little bit darker. What I would say as a caveat is just be careful not to go too dark, she says, with a fairly dark brow. If you're using, say, a powder brow, which I also love for speed, just take a matte powder shadow through your eyebrow. If you go too dark, then you could create a bit more of a block-looking brow. And actually, you just need to shade behind the hairs. You don't need to fill it in entirely. You don't need to block out every hint of skin, because then you could make your brows somewhat overpowering.
Yeah, right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, total. So if we want to kind of, so this is an amazing kind of day look. Are we going to add? You're going to add a lip.
Thing.
Okay.
Bobbi Brown Pot Rouge in powder pink, which is also in the beautiful bag. Is a brilliant multitasker. So you can use it on cheeks and lips. And I'm just going to dab it onto my... This makeup with no mirror is quite fun.
It's great. I mean, very good at it.
So I'm just going to dab it onto the apple of my cheeks. Again, you see the cream is adding more glow. Again, I'm using that flat pad of my finger to work it into the skin. And then you can, if you so wish, just dab it onto the lip.
I've interviewed you about this before, about kind of using tonal makeup. Almost like that same colour on your cheeks as your lips. It's quite a nice kind of daytime
It's
look,
so
isn't
easy,
it?
and it won't go wrong because it's monochrome, which might sound a bit dull, but if you're just looking for quick and easy functional makeup that makes you feel a bit brighter, feel a bit pulled together, then it's really safe. Whereas if it's not in the same colour family, you could inadvertently create a makeup look that jars slightly. And I mean, say I did this pale peachy lip with a berry blush, because they're so not in the same colour family.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just
more
a bit
jarring.
off. It's a bit off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we jazz it up for the night time?
Shall we?
Hannah's about to go on a Christmas party,
Okay.
let's just say.
So what I tried to do with this is I tried to think, what are the minimal products for maximum impact? So I have, and I don't know if I'll use the palette, but I've gone for, wait, I'm just going to do it. Just a couple of little bits. I have chosen some, what I call grown-up glitter. Don't be afraid of glitter. It can elevate an otherwise really quite plain makeup look. And I think brands and technology in makeup is so advanced these days that actually, you know, I think people think back to glitter from the 80s, which was heavy.
Yeah.
It was plastic. It was cumbersome. It would drop onto the face. Whereas, you know, I'm going to use an Hourglass scattered light.
I've got one of those on my eyes right now.
Have you?
Yeah.
We didn't even
We
share.
didn't even talk about
my gosh,
that. Yeah.
great minds.
Great
We're
minds
so
think
in tune.
alike. Yeah, love it.
And this is the colour Reflect. It comes in loads of different colours. But I've kept it fairly neutral because I'm going to do a liner moment. But all you do is just get it onto your finger. I'm trying to think what you could do potentially, you know, in the bathroom at work if you're going out after. And then you just...
Wow. I mean...
Who was that?
The communal gasp was
Brilliant.
This is great also because it's not messy. It doesn't go everywhere. It doesn't flake. I mean...
But like it's a moment, right? So it's 2 seconds, no tools necessary, just
Love it.
a clean ring finger. And to make note, anything I've done where I've had to blend or tap, I've used my ring finger because it is the most gentle. If you're trying to do this with your index finger, for example, you're potentially applying too much pressure. So just keep it to your ring finger at all times.
What we will do is make sure that everyone gets a list of the products that we've used.
Right. Now on to liquid liner. Don't be afraid. Grab one of the felt tip style liners because they're so easy. No fear of splaying brushes. And all I'm going to do is just do lots of little strokes all the way along the lash line. So I'm actually resting the head of the brush onto the lashes, put it right out to outer corner. Should we do a little wing?
Yes.
No pressure. Okay, so what you want to do look at you slightly, when doing the wing, is you want to imagine you're following the trajectory of your lower lash line. Yeah? If you pull too far down, what's going to happen? Yeah, you're going to make your eyes look downturned. What happens if you curve too much? You're going to look like you've got a little roller coaster kind of coming off the side of your eye. So you want to imagine, look at you slightly, you want to imagine you're pulling straight out from this lower lash line. So I'm actually going to do a dot, she says, dot. So you see I've just visualised where the line's going to come. That's quite conservative for a wing, but at least I've got a little marker. And then from that marker, I'm just going to pull back. I'm just going to pull back. There you go.
Amazing. Is this the same technique you'd use if you have hooded eyes?
Yeah, hooded eyes is a slightly different kettle of fish. If you have a hooded eye and there is a crease that comes at the very side of your eye, then it's quite an odd technique where still you want to do the visualising technique of pulling straight out, but you'll have to do it with your eyes open and looking directly into the mirror. Because what will happen when you then tilt your head back and look down, there'll be quite a big gap. It looks like this, almost like this. oh my gosh, look, I'm such an artist. But you will get this, it looks so odd. It'll be that kind of shape when you're looking down. But when you open your eye, there's the fold of the skin there. Does that make sense? And then as you open your eye, this bit magically here marries to that bit magically there. It's such a good trick. But if you try and do a line like that, when you look straight ahead, actually your wing won't match.
Yeah.
So you'll have your line align and then your flick significantly below.
So always do it with your eyes open.
Always do it with your eyes open. That was a long-winded way of saying
No,
that, wasn't it?
that's in summary.
So again, I'll just do the same on the other eye quickly. If you have any questions while I do this, go ahead. Go on.
Yes,
then.
go on, go for it.
I just wondered why you decided to use, I know you kind of touched on it, but you decided to use a felt pen rather than like a liquid.
Yes.
Because I find those are quite dry when I use them. Maybe I'm using
Ah.
a poor quality one, but...
They can dry. So for example, I've noticed, because I've been talking, this has been exposed to the air for a little while, so it is slightly harder to work with. The best way to revive a felt tip is just to do that. And it kind of refills the nib with ink. The reason, dot, and then drag. The reason I like the felt tips are, again, it's just minimising room for error, because with the ones that are brushes, often they are so wet and so, it's like a clutch on a car, so sensitive to pressure that as soon as you are uneven with your pressure of application, the ink goes. So unless you are able to do a very slow, even pressured, perfect line, if you can do that, wonderful. If you can't, a felt tip's going to be probably an easier apparatus to try. But also, if anyone's trying to master liner, I always say, do it at night before bed. Just have a moment in your bathroom mirror with your eyeliner. And if it works, wicked. If it doesn't, no thing, you're about to wash anyway. Rather than wait before your party or your event and then you're in the bathroom shaking, sweating, like, oh my God, oh. You know, and then it becomes a cause of stress and you'll either never try it again or you'll think you can't do it, which just isn't true.
That's how I get if I ever try to apply fake lashes before an event.
And
then I end up in tears because I've ruined my makeup.
I thought about doing lashes. Shall I quickly say that the trick? Has anyone come across eyelash adhesive eyeliner?
Oh, I have seen that. I've never tried.
It's like this that I've just used, but it's lash adhesive.
Oh.
So you do your eyeliner as I've done, then you take your dry lash and you just do that. And it's on. Because actually the struggle so often is the wet glue.
Yeah.
And you've tried to put the lash on, but the glue's too wet, so it hasn't stuck down. And then you've got it sticking with, and then you've got a big blob of glue that's sticky and it's ruining your eye makeup. Yeah. So for anyone who's struggling, try lash adhesive eyeliner. It's wonderful.
Okay, that sounds like an actual
Total
game changer. Yeah.
Okay, so we've done liner, which is fine. If I was going to do this, then a banging red lip or something would be amazing. Look a Million does a brilliant lash glue adhesive eyeliner.
Okay.
Look a Million.
Look a Million.
If anyone's Googling. Just a quick eyeshadow palette. If you've got one lying around, these could be really handy for jazzing up eye makeup looks. I'm actually going to use the darkest colour. This one's by Smashbox. And I'm just going to smudge, I love this, over the liner.
Ooh.
So it's a process we call the collective double lining.
Oh, amazing.
But do you see how it's just making a little bit more?
Everyone's got a dark brown eyeshadow as well.
That's it.
That's really amazing.
So you can just blend that over the edge of the liner just to give it a little bit more depth and a little bit more drama.
Can I ask you about the lash curler from earlier?
Yes.
Is there like a difference between the you know what I mean? Like, do you have to look at the size of them? Or like...
Some brands do make different shapes for different eye shapes. So Tweezerman do kind of slightly flatter ones, which are great if you've got more of an almond shape eye, and they do slightly rounder ones, which can be helpful if you've got more of a hooded eye because your eye is slightly rounder. Yeah. So you can, if you're lash curler's too flat for almond eyes, then you're only going to catch the middle lashes, so you need something smaller and rounder. So some brands, yeah, do different shape for different eye shapes.
So I think we've got time for one more jazz up.
Okay, gosh. So what I would do if there was loads of time is I would do way more mazzy. Let's go highlighter. I'm just going to have to do two. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
let's do highlighter. So highlighter, I love. I don't necessarily wear it every day, but it comes in all guises: liquids, creams, powders, loose powders. I'm quite loving pressed powder at the moment. They do vary in quality, just going to say. But I'm using a very small-headed brush. This is a Beauty Pie one. The Real Techniques 402 is also my go-to highlight brush. And all I'm going to do is just sweep it over the higher point of my cheeks.
That's the thing with highlighter that kind of scares me or puts me off. It's the kind of sparkliness and shimmeriness, whereas this looks actually like a nice sheen on the skin.
It is a nice sheen. I mean, you and I are both obsessed with Westman Atelier highlights. They come in little creams and they're so absolutely beautiful. Totally bougie.
Investment highlighters.
Yeah, but this gives a very similar finish. Yeah. It's also really nice just to do the inner corner.
Beautiful. Is that Ciate?
Yeah. That is Ciate's Glow 2 highlighter in Moon Dust. I should know that. So there we go. Let's do a little bit on the brow bone as well. There we go. Just a quick and easy little bit of makeup elevation. And then let's do a little bit of lip gloss, because who doesn't need a bit of lip gloss?
And this is the amazing...
This is my lip
Hannah
gloss.
Martin created this lip gloss.
I did. Shameless plugging here.
It's great though. I have one. I actually have one in my handbag.
There we go.
It's so good.
There we go. It's a bit of highlight, a bit of gloss, bit more attention than the eye. And there we go.
Oh, well
well, does anyone have any last questions yet?
I was going to say, I've learned more about makeup in my life. I'm here.
Amazing. I'm so pleased. Thank you, that's really kind.
Was there another question?
Yes. I just want to say, Hannah, you are amazing. For a very long time, and I just have never heard you actually talk about it before, and you are amazing.
Oh, really? How's that never happened?
I don't know, because you've always been busy.
Always
been having a gossip. I've just got to ask you something very quickly.
Always, yes.
Being the oldest person definitely in this room, you can see I've got white hair when I press my hand all the time. What do I do about my eyebrows? What colour?
So when one's hair gets a little bit lighter, you do need to take that into consideration. So if you can maintain the same colour that you've been using through your brows, historically, chances are it's going to be too dark, and then you end up with, Blondie rocks it, Billie Piper rocks it. But if you want it to be more subtle, then tone down your brow shade. Now, brands do, Anastasia Beverly Hills, Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, they do make really beautiful, quite flat, neutral brow shades. At Bobbi Brown, they're called grey and mink. I annoyingly can't remember the name of the Anastasia ones. But flat grey, it sounds really dull, but it really works when your hair is that much lighter.
So tactful.
So flat, muted tones. Some brands they might suggest a blonde, but blonde tones often have quite a lot of yellow shot through, so it looks a bit golden, or they either have a bit of red shot through, so your brows look a bit more cinnamon. You want ash, really.
Thank you.
Pleasure, as always.
Any other questions?
I've got eczema on my eyelids.
Okay.
Any tips on how to get eyeshadow that's not going to be too dry? I can't find anything that actually works on them.
Yeah, well, eczema can be challenging because if you go for powder shadows, actually because the skin is naturally quite dry, it can be challenging to get the powder pigments to adhere to the skin. And then the flip side of that is sometimes cream-based products can highlight the texture. However, I found that the kind of stick-based cream eyeshadows are brilliant. So Vive make beautiful stick cream shadows, as do Nude Sticks, as do MyBeautyBrand Cosmetics, who are upstairs. Most brands make really beautiful long wear cream shadow sticks. And I think if you go for the muted matte tones, then you'll have the most success with A, having them adhere, and B, having them not highlight any of the skin or texture that you might have.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Oh, let's go here because I've done you a couple of times.
Yeah. So talking about sticks, shameless plug again. Sonia's talked about her favourite One Stick Wonders this weekend, right? So Hannah, what are your favourite products for lip to eye that you tend to go for?
That I would use on lips and eyes.
Yeah, it's kind of One Stick Wonders that maybe you could use on the cheeks.
Lips and
it's kind
cheeks.
of 3 in 1.
Oh my gosh, so many. And
Or you could use on the eye, for instance.
yeah, I actually think that most things can be used on lips and cheeks and eyes. Actually, as weird as that sounds, most lipsticks look brilliant on the cheek and kind of pressed into the crease of the eye. On the spot, what do I love? Bobbi Brown Pot Rouges, NARS multiples. Don't neglect eyeshadow. If you've got beautiful toned eyeshadows, this sounds weird, but bear with, either neutral toned or kind of pinks and berries, pressed into lip balm, they can be exquisite. And actually, I do that on set all the time if I'm trying to create the perfect monochromatic look. So don't be afraid of trying to press dry pigment into balmed lips.
Amazing.
I'm sorry that I felt like I didn't answer that at all.
Oh, that's great.
You know, when you're like, what?
I know, I was like, what are your favourites to help me now?
Yeah. Do we have another question here?
Yeah, I actually had 2. That's okay.
Fire away.
First is, what do you recommend with lipstick applying and how to pick the perfect like day to night lipstick tone? And the second one is, if your eyes, I mean, as you're not the only person, are extremely different from each other, how would you with eyeliner, let's say, correct the differences?
Let's start with lip. So if you're looking for something you can wear anytime with anything, then look for a tone, it sounds dull but it works, that's not too dissimilar from your natural lip colour. So in wearing a lipstick that's pretty much the same colour, you're not altering your appearance, but you're making it look that little bit more polished or a bit more makeup-y, which for a lot of us helps us feel a bit more glamorous. If you're then looking for your perfect evening colour, again, an evening colour that you can wear with anything, then just pick a shade that's in the same tonal family, but I'd say a couple of tones deeper. Sounds dull, but whilst you can all have a banging red lipstick, and YSL Rouge Pour Couture No. 1 is my favourite red, but red actually doesn't go with everything. I mean, she says,
Yeah.
of course it does, do what you want, do you.
Yeah.
Oh, so annoying.
I know,
Caveat,
it's okay, don't worry.
caveat. But it can be quite hard to pull off red all the time.
Do you prefer liquid or?
Liquid lips tend to last longer. I did have a By Terry liquid lip here. These last really well. They tend to last better. But I'm an absolute sucker for a creamy lipstick as well because I love how it looks. I think lips look beautiful when they're moisturised. When it comes to matching your eye shapes, I mean, there's a huge school of thought that says embrace your natural eye shapes. No one has completely symmetrical eyes. In fact, if you look at an image and be like, well, this model does, most likely her face has been cut in half and copy and pasted to make it perfect. I mean, sad, but it's true. It happens less nowadays.
Yeah.
But it historically
did,
has
yeah.
happened a lot. So first thought, embrace it. Second of all, it's the eyeliner is usually the key. Sometimes it's your eyeshadow placement, but it's a case of looking dead ahead in your mirror and making sure that you see some kind of symmetry. So what I mean by that is, say if one eye is higher than the other, if you stop your eyeshadow at the same distance from your lash line, on both eyes, it's not going to look even from your brow bone. So it might be that on one eye you have to take your shadow slightly higher to make it look a bit more even.
Amazing.
I hope that makes sense.
I think that's all we've got time
Oh,
for.
sorry.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.